time.
Oh, that's so in English. Sorry, good evening.
Yes, here we are live, both on Instagram and Facebook. Hello everyone. As you know, you may know, my name is Satya Kaur, and I've organized these Mother's Day talks to share with you some of the teachings that belong to the Mother Journey programs, which is a pre and postnatal yoga teacher training. It's a program that has been taught in person in many countries in the world to this day, and we're very excited that we're launching an online edition starting in October of this year. It's relevant to mothers, sisters, women who are contemplating motherhood or know others who are going through that process, but it's also relevant to health professionals and therapists who want to understand their clients or patients who are going through this journey. You may not have personal experience to draw from, so you want to equip yourself with information that is not available in books, or I dare say much of the information is very difficult to access, and we packaged it in a very sound, holistic way. My partner of the Mother's Journey is Elena O'Keefe, and she's one of the co-founders and one of the trainers in this online edition. But today is the 10th and last talk of this series, and I'm very lucky to have with me my friend Ramprakash, Kaur, also a colleague and everyday companion. She manages the ashram Ramdas Guru here near my home, which I visit every day. But Ramprakash's background is one of teaching. She's a qualified teacher, and for 30 years she taught children of primary age and kindergarten age. As an exploration of ways of relieving stress associated with life, motherhood, profession, as a teacher, she explored the world of yoga, Kundalini yoga and its tools, as well as numerology and Karam Kriya specifically, how it offers a structure to work with so we understand ourselves better. I also think it's very interesting, these programs you developed lately to help parents be leaders in alternative education. Mm-hmm. Many parents are dissatisfied with these restrictions associated with the pandemic that children are subject to, and they therefore choose alternative education. It's very interesting. Mm-hmm. And also what you were sharing about intuitive teaching. Yes. For teachers.
Yes, training teachers to be more intuitive.
Fantastic. So, but today we're going to talk about what the onus of technology and the digital world, the impact it has in our children's lives. And myself and you, I think, we already had to deal with that issue when our children were teenagers. Mm-hmm. I did already, and I must confess that at that point I was just hoping, okay, grow up and leave home so I don't have to bug you all the time about how many 8 hours a day you spend in front of the screen. It's an issue now, but we have to come to terms with it. Mm-hmm. So what is the advice you give to parents when they maybe exasperate about how much involvement and how much loss the children are on the screen in the fantasy world, or what advice would you give to parents who don't think it's an issue and they don't mind and they don't care?
Well, really it starts like before you bring technology into the home. So the technology itself is not inherently good or bad. Mm-hmm. It's how it's used. So if parents are conscious and make informed decisions before bringing something into the home, for example, a tablet. Mm-hmm. It's portable, it's easy to take in the car, so that's going to probably cause more problems if you're trying to control the use, because it can be taken anywhere. Whereas a computer or even a television set, they're things that are fixed. So, if you have it in a specific room and not in the bedroom, then it's less likely to be used so much when the children are younger. Once they're teenagers, it becomes more difficult. So it's much better to, before you bring these things into the home, think about how you would like the children to be using it. And if they get hooked, you might not have any control. And I've heard lots of, I can remember hearing lots of stories about people, mothers before they leave for work, who've left their teenagers or young adult children at home, taking the power cord and the remote control so that their child doesn't spend all day using this stuff. So when they're teenagers, it's very difficult to control anything. So beforehand, you have to educate yourself, educate them, so that they know what, it's like anything. As long as the children know, and the children know what's healthy. It's like.
And how do you
anything.
teach them what's healthy? Is it merely by example that they should learn by what they pick up from you, or is there a conversation to be had where you explicitly say, this is healthy, this is not healthy, this is what I expect of you, this is what I would like you? Is there such a conversation should be had?
It's a mixture of both. So while children are very, very small, babies, even when you're pregnant, if you can look at how you use for example, your phone, if you're constantly, if I'm sitting here doing this and saying, oh yeah, and I'm checking my messages, then I'm showing you that you either have equal value or maybe not as important as the phone. So children are very young children, they're very emotional, they're perceiving everything, they're taking in everything. It's a prime time for learning. So they're taking in what you're doing, and if you're giving them the example that the device is more important than the human being in front of them, then they're going to see that that's how you use that device. And then when you later try and have a conversation, it's not really going to work, because behaviour is communication, and you by your behaviour you have already communicated that this is how you use it. Yeah. So you really need, when you're pregnant, really think about what you want and how you want these devices to be used for the children. And it's not a new problem. It's the same problem that our parents have with television and aren't, telling us to get off the TV and go outside and play. And my mother, she used to have, her mother was telling her to stop reading because she was inside reading a book, and her mother wanted her, outside so she could clean the house. And so it's the same. It's a generational thing, and also with technology, I don't understand what they're doing. So when they're younger and you're introducing these things, view things with them. And the good rule of thumb is, if you wouldn't allow them to see this in real life, then don't allow them to see it on a screen.
Okay, I see what you want. So if they're seeing a game, playing a game, or watching a program or a film or cartoon, and you don't want that kind of action behavior dynamic to be a reality, don't let them be a witness to it. I understand.
So there's positive and negative. So movies and these devices are now the storytellers of our time. So in those stories, what is being communicated? So if different cultural groups, women, men, different age people, if they're being represented as stereotypes
or underrepresented,
then maybe you need to look at what games they're using, what movies they're watching, just in the same way you would, like you wouldn't give a child an X-rated book.
Sure.
But you're more likely to let them watch something that's X-rated on TV because of the sex and the violence, and depending on how impressionable they are, which depends on their age and also the individual child.
So would you recommend, for example, that if a child that as a parent you regularly concern yourself or keep an eye or have a look what your child's doing, ask questions, sit with them, or would you say none of my business? Would you kind of deliberately invest in that kind of research, glimpse, supervision or not?
Absolutely, yeah. Before, so you control what device, what goes on their device, what applications, what games, what movies. So you need to be informed. You know, the adult needs to be informed about what's happening in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some really good websites where you can look and find out what are good games, age-appropriate games and movies and.
There is websites.
Yeah. And also your child's school. Usually schools have some sort of, or public libraries have some sort of register of sites and apps and things that are age appropriate for children. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a whole load of information that you have to familiarize yourself with as a parent in order to be a guide. And access the information, inform yourself. Something I didn't have to do. Another thing, like let's say you want to instigate other interests in your child, other hobbies, other discoveries, other stimulate other creativity for them. How do you do that? Or do you have to exemplify yourself? Do you have to show your enthusiasm for other things? Or should you kind of be geared and focused on their age group and you should be doing that and let's do that? And for you it maybe it's a chore, but you think for them, you do it, sacrifice for them.
So
stimulating other interests, hobbies, activities.
Yeah, well it's very important to have a balance. So, you know, when children are very young, they're very impressionable, they're learning everything. So the longer you can delay any sort of media, even a television set, and I know that's hard because, you know, we want to watch TV, so it's very good to, from a young age, you know, instill in your children and do things with your children like going to the park, going on picnics, you know, going outside and playing. You know, don't sit on your computer all day. Take the time to take them and play board games and read stories and dress up and do things together.
Yeah, it's interesting. Something occurred to me, I can't think now. Anyway, I know we have a gift prepared, like a bonus that goes with those who have registered for these talks, and you put together their gift with ideas for parents what should be done. And I know you divided these activities for different age groups. Can you tell us a little bit about these phases of growth?
Okay, so the gift has got 3 age sections, so 0 to 7, 7 to 14, and then 14 plus. And it's got just not an exhaustive list, but just some suggestions for things that you can do with your children or set up in your home that children can use themselves. Other activities apart from technology. And of course, the earlier you introduce this, they get used to using that stuff. And bring this stuff in first before the technology.
Would you say that you have to enjoy those things yourself? Or should it be, I better be good for my children?
Okay.
Or focus on what you enjoy yourself?
Well, of course you're going to do things, whatever you're into, you will do that with much more joy with your children. If you're not really into art and you don't like the mess, then don't get paints. Maybe get paper and crayons or pencils. Or have painting as something that they do only outside. You know, like I used to, with my kids, I would put a big roll of, you know, paper and put it on the patio outside and then paint. And then they could paint, they could step in and paint, do footprints, handprints, you know, like, so it was a whole body experience painting.
Yeah.
But then we did it and then we cleaned it up and that was it. You know, some people are really into painting and some children. So, you know, you really need to look at what gives you joy, bring that to your child's life. If you really enjoy gardening, chances are they really enjoy it too. And just by the way you are when you're doing it, they're going to enjoy it. So bringing what you love, of course, and then observe your children, notice what interests them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at different ages, different things will interest them. You know, dinosaurs, digging for things. You know, if you have a garden, that's ideal. Otherwise, going to the park and, you know, sand pit, or even if you have an apartment, you know, if you can just have a sandbox. You know, all these things are very good for stimulating.
So, what would you say, like, priorities for the first age group, 0 to 7? What is the priorities for their development and your communication style, maybe?
So that first 7 years, it's important in all areas of development: social, emotional, physical, spiritual, cognitive. This is like the formative years of life, and it's where children are developing an identity. They're discovering their self-worth. So this is like vital.
And in communication, how do you kind of instigate the healthy sense of self?
Okay, so just by the way you speak, the way you are, you need to be able to manage your own emotions and be very conscious in the way you speak. Speak lovingly to your children, speak kindly to your children, because they're learning from the way that you speak with them how to speak with other people, and also how they are as people. They're getting their own identity. They're finding out who they are. Yeah. So if you're on your phone and they're there and they're asking mum, and you're so what did you say? Hang on, I've got to get this. You know, and you're busy on your phone. They're getting the impression that this machine is more important to them. And of course, we love our children, and that's not what we really mean, but our behaviour is showing such. So human contact, human interaction, having fun, you know, just doing things together. So
what would be different after age 7 then? How the communication should be different, and what would be priority for them, for their development?
So the communication is still the same. Still, human contact is more important than a machine, of course. But they might become more interested after 7.
Looking up things, maybe.
But if they've got that first 7 years as a base, then that sets them up for the next 7 years. And also, like in yoga, you know, we have the 7-year cycle, the 11-year cycle, and the 18-year cycle. So the 18-year cycle is the vitality, energy and vitality. And as you know, from 0 to 18, you have lots of energy. You spend energy to work things out and work through things. So encouraging kids to use this energy, you know, taking them outside, giving them balls, giving them activities, giving them, putting when they're older in sports, giving them good nutritious food and healthy attitudes toward food, proper sleep, like not up all night, proper sleep, plenty of sleep and rest, and exercise. So that's that. And then the 11-year mark, the first 11 years are about the intellect and applying the intellect. So if the only interaction that they have, or the only thing they have to use their intellect to apply it to is on a device, then they're not getting practice at applying their intelligence with real people in real life situations. So,
Interesting. I was thinking, you mentioned earlier, like when you were saying, when you bring a device into the home or into their lives, then you need to think clearly what you want to achieve with it and how to set limits and so on. But I was thinking, I was reading somewhere that mothers, when they're breastfeeding, that's when they do all their Facebook, all their media things. Children learn already when they're in mum's bosom to kind of that's going on, and mother's not with them, is with something or somebody else. What can you do about that later? Maybe it's too late later, or should that not be done?
Well, I would personally say no. When you're breastfeeding, you are breastfeeding. You know, just do that one precious thing. It's not for long.
Oh, but it takes so long. It's hours and hours and hours. I could be doing other things.
And look, as a mother of adult children, as you are, you know that You never get that time again.
That's true.
And you don't really know the consequences of what that's doing. You don't really know how that's affecting
Because it's going
your
through,
child.
huh?
Yeah.
It's going through.
Yeah. And it's, they're suckling and then they're trying to get the phone because your attention's there, so that must be important.
Sure.
So they're trying to grab it. And the next thing you know, you've got a baby who can use
Dial 999.
yeah, or can
112.
use a game
Yeah.
and watch movies on a phone,
Yeah.
but they can't speak
Yeah.
because this is more important and that's the message they've got. So it's really important for parents to be very, very conscious with their own use of devices, especially because that's what it's being modelled, because you can't then turn around and say you can't use it in the same way that you've seen me using it.
No,
You're setting them up with and then you have trouble with, well, how can I stop them? Okay, so I have to take it away, or I have to, and then you become like a police officer in your own home. It's better to start from the beginning.
So apart from
yourself.
apart from setting the example, which I understand is very real, children absorb everything. What kind of limits? What kind of conversation, instead of saying no or threatening or taking, what kind of conversation could you have so that they really understand and they honour your interest in them and your reasoning?
Well, perhaps when you first start introducing even the television set, that's probably the first thing that they're going to have interaction with. So sit down with them and watch with them, and when it's finished, turn it off. And then maybe talk about that story or that whatever was on the screen.
Right, then go on and on.
Yeah, and then have things go on and off. Having television in the background all the time is just it's nonsense. It doesn't do anything to help anything. So watch the thing or play the game together, and then you can be excited about tactics or talk about what happened. And you can ask open-ended questions about characters in the movie that you watched or in the cartoon, and then you're also getting to see what they're seeing, and you're involved, and they see that it's something that you enjoy too. But it goes off.
Yes, that's a very good point, because not only television is continuous, but also Facebook is scroll, and so is the media and so on, and you can just, or if it's not on and on, if there's no new message, you're waiting for it. Another trick, maybe, and it's not a trick, it's another agreement you can make is that maybe you can have a SIM card, you can't have a SIM card on your phone, you can have your phone just for games, or you can have your phone just for phone calls, and it's not for entertainment. Just when you need me, or at school, catching the bus, coming late, whatever. So decide how to use.
You can do that, but remember that as soon as your child comes in contact with other kids, like if they have a phone for school with a SIM card, and other kids have got phones and they're looking at each other's games, once they go to school, once they're away from you, basically everybody else is an influence. So you want this is why these first 7 years are really important, so that they learn responsibility. In the handout that the gift tomorrow is also some chores, some jobs, some ways of helping out at home, so that they feel responsible part of the.
What kind of jobs, do you suggest for different age groups?
Yeah, so for example,
I haven't read the list.
Yeah, so for example, for a very young child, they might help make the bed, and then 7 to 14, they can make their own bed. 14 on, hopefully they're still making their bed. They're cleaning their bedroom. They might be cleaning the floor and looking after their own space and keeping it nice. They might help paint the wall. They clean the windows. So it's just progressively what they can handle. It's not that they're doing everything. You don't want to go from one extreme to the other where they're doing nothing, because then that's not good for their self-worth either. They want to feel that they are contributing and that they're an important part of the family. And then at the other extreme is, don't have them doing everything because you're busy. That's the same.
Don't have them do everything.
Yeah, like if you're too busy because you're working, you've just got home and you've got to cook, don't have that your child is
the servant.
Is the servant, no. So there's got to be a balance in everything, so with the technology as well. You said about Facebook, that's like, with teenagers,
It's part of their
It's-
developing identity.
yes, yes,
as
and,
well.
and it's part of, it's a very important part of socialising for them. So at this time, when they start doing the social media, you really need to, have a conversation with them and help them to protect themselves against, like if they spam, and also if they post anything, even if they delete it, it's never deleted. It's out there. They're left a footprint. Yeah. So just to be careful that they don't post anything that they might later regret. So you really need to have conversations about that. Make sure that you are friends with your child on Facebook or whatever it is that they're using. You don't need to be like I did. You don't need to like all their posts. They don't need that encouragement for you. You're just really there so that you know what's going on their posts. Cyberbullying it can be an issue, so keep an eye on that. Both that your child is not doing it and nobody is doing it to your child. And also predators, so there are games and things on...
Because now they're playing with games with people
Yes,
all over.
yes, and they don't really know who is on the other end. They might be saying that they're a 14-year-old girl and it's actually a 40-year-old man. So these things are really important. Yeah. So you can also look online to find out about these conversations, cyberbullying. Yeah, just all those things. You can Google those, and find out how to be prepared in that way. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's very interesting. It just kind of opens a whole new world. It's something that's here to stay. We have to manage it, and we have to use it to our advantage and our children's advantage. I think the first thing with conscious parents is to take an interest and to invest some time and equip the child with the means to know. And of course give the example. I realized that we're coming to an end with our time, and this being the last talk, I don't know, with the Portuguese version we were translating, we didn't have so much time to for any questions, but maybe we could see if anybody wants to post a question to Ramprakash. I know it's difficult to see because my device is a little bit far away.
Okay, glasses on.
If you have a question for Ramprakash, you're welcome to post. We may be able to read it. Not sure where I would see it.
Our technology skills.
Because that device is far away.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I did with the other talks, the following day I always check my Facebook and I check Instagram to see if there's any comments or if there's any issues or doubts you'd like clarified, and if I can't address them myself, I will ask you for your input. I'll forward it to you, your input, so that you can you can have your questions answered. We're focusing on communication. We focusing on our dealing with the technology, but it can be something else that is related. Thank you, Ramprakash. I look forward to hearing a bit more about these courses that you're putting together, and certainly you'll be one of the presences on our module 6 of the Mother's Journey. At the moment we only have the first 5 modules set dates. Module 6, which is on parenting, which should be open to men, which the other modules are not. We have not set dates, but if there's an interest in the group of students of those enrolled, we'll have you as a guest trainer.
Okay, that would be my pleasure. Thank you.
So, yes, we also have another gift in addition to these tables with suggested activities to do with your children and suggested tasks that you insist your children perform as a way of contributing to the family life and to the community. We will also sharing with you a coupon that allows you to see a movie about the work and the art of Lydia Rule. Here behind us, and here on Facebook you can really see, there's a wonderful banner. These are the goddess banners put together that Lydia Rule created. She created 300 plus banners of different facets of goddesses from different cultures. This one I think is Japanese. But in this film that you're allowed to view, which the director, Dr. Isadora Leidenfrost, shared with us, and we're sharing with you, you'll have access to that movie, which is called the Lydia Rule movie, and it's called Her Story. Normally we talk about history, and that's his story. This is called Her Story. And this is part of our ethos about empowering women and our sense of power and the greatness of ourselves. So thank you and good luck with your children. I hope you have great and happy times together.
Thank you.
Satnam.